Hi, this isn't a usual Sunday post. Instead of doing the normal cover or arrangement, I figured I'd do a little bit more work and show a little bit more of the process rather than just the result. Warming up and doing a specific warm-up and doing very musical warm-ups that warm up my brain helps me get more done. One of the first things I do when I start warming up it's not very musical. I'll do exercises where I only put the metronome at like 60, and I'll subdivide it different ways. I'll try and cut the beat in 2, and then 3, and then 4 with picking. I'll start on just one string, but it's really tricky for me to skip strings or to switch between strings quickly. So start with just one string, and then I'll go to different patterns and different groupings. Whatever's tripping me up that day, I'll try and spend a little bit more time on that. The next bit is a little bit more musical. I'll just play all the major scales. Very boring, but it's very useful to me. I try and focus on warming up my brain to all the notes where they are on the guitar fretboard. Also focus on subdividing. Also, whenever I'm playing through these scales, whenever I'm playing through them fast, it is tricky, but I also recognize that there are certain spots that are really tricky, and then I'll practice that bit over and over and over and over again, really slowly. Practicing literally just those individual finger moves. Being able to express yourself comes from kind of being accurate technically, not just being able to play fast because of a lot of effort, because that's not helpful. And then sometimes after those major scales, I'll play pentatonic scales, and I'll play them not just up and down, but I'll play them in different groupings and kind of as cells of 2 to 4 notes that kind of can either be going up and then down, or then down and then up, in different kind of directions you can play them. Playing like a group of 4 notes in one pentatonic pattern and then trying to shift it up. It's way easier just to move your fingers really fast, but if your hands are not used to moving back and forth on the neck accurately, it might be hard to play some stuff. I won't focus on the kind of notes themselves because I've learned the pentatonic scales, but to play them in different ways that my fingers aren't quite used to every day, just to warm them up. Another warm-up that's very musical that kind of shifts me from thinking very technically, warming up, and kind of gets me into general practicing. I'm trying to work on improvising when I play, being kind of free with how I express myself. I'll play all the triads. I try and do as many keys as possible. Maybe if my ear is going different places, add in other notes, and I'll try and play them all the different ways. For instance, you'll see me kind of play them either going all the way up or just all down. But more often than not, I'll try and change it up. You can see it's tricky because there's a bunch of different ways you can pick, and then I'll play them as groups, or I'll play them first as group, and then change string sets as much as I can to try and force myself to find where all these notes are. And it's hard to do while I'm talking, and maybe I'll change keys or try some chord progressions. And depending on the day, if I'm feeling like I need to work on technique and certain finger moves more, feel like I need to work more on playing on one string, or if I'm feel like I need to play more on all the strings, kind of string switching, I'll either do kind of some chromatic scales, or I'll do some kind of like intervallic sequences. So the one I did here was kind of doing some fifths, 2 fifths, and then there's a half step and then another fifth. And then the culmination of all of that kind of stuff is I'll take a random, usually a jazz standard, not always a jazz standard, but because they're kind of extra tricky and they really force me out of my comfort zone. Anyway, I picked the standard Along Came Betty. Just take the chords and I'll play the simplest version of them that I can, and I'll turn it almost into like a classical partita where I'll just kind of be focused on outlining the chords without really focusing on how is this phrasing good. Phrasing is a totally different thing to work on. That's all like kind of a little bit lead guitar, and for pure like rhythm guitar stuff, which I really like really loose wrist, put on the metronome or put on like a drum track, like a funky drum track, and I'll try and target or try and like accent or hit each of the different 16th notes on the downbeat, just after the downbeat, and then just before the next downbeat. So switching between them kind of seamlessly, doing it in a way that keeps the groove going and adds to the track.